Are you an empath? Let's talk about that for a second. So what is an empath? An empath is basically a person who can tap into another person's emotions and actually know what that other person is feeling, right? Being an empath gives you a heightened sense of intuition, perception, and observation, right? To the point where you can almost read the other person's minds, right? I mean, because once you can feel what they are feeling, then you can know what they're thinking, right? It makes sense. So people who are empaths, right? I mean, there are some pros and cons to this, like with anything, right? I mean, the pros of it, like I said, is you have a very heightened sense of awareness where you could feel what other people are feeling and feel what they are, know what they're thinking, even before they think it, right? And in many ways, this is like a superpower, right? You have a natural born superpower without needing a cape or putting a big S on your chest, right? Just being able to read people, right? You're almost like a magician. And a lot of times too, this can actually save your life, being an empath, because I mean, you have the ability to spot danger before it actually happens to you, right? You have the ability to like avoid getting mugged or robbed in the street. You have the ability to just avoid a lot of life-threatening situations that other people can otherwise not avoid, right? To the point where you might like watch some of these like forensic files or something on television, and then you see this person just innocently walk into their car. It's this open parking lot, and then you see a guy kind of like walk around this, you know, the back of the car with a hoodie, and you're just almost thinking to yourself like, how could this person not know this person's right there, right? As an empath, because you would be so aware of that, and you would just bolt, right? Or you'd start bolting and screaming like, hey, help, help. Right, whereas this person just like da-dee, and then all of a sudden, hey, come here, bitch, you know, and all of a sudden that person is never seen again, right? So as an empath, it's essentially like having a superpower. And not only that, but I mean, a lot of very successful business owners that are empaths do very well just because they know what to give their customers. They know what to deliver to the market, right? And for empaths, it's kind of weird because like you can have this superpower and this heightened sense of awareness, but it can also, if you're not careful with it, it can also eat you alive, right? Because you just it's like sensory overload when you can constantly like feel what other people are feeling or think, you know what they're thinking as they're thinking it, right? And it's almost like, especially if you have any social anxiety, if you're in like a large crowd, for example, or if you're at an event and you're an empath, it's very difficult to detach yourself from just being surrounded by all these people who you might feel like, oh, are they all judging me? And what are they saying behind my back? I can't see them. You know, and it can start to eat away at you if you're not careful, right? But for empaths, yeah, there are some pros and cons. I would say there are definitely more pros than cons. That's for sure. You know, I mean, I consider myself an empath where I could feel what other people are feeling. I don't know if, I know I didn't have this as a child. I don't think I had this as a child, maybe a little bit, but I really kind of honed this being out in the field, right? And just doing pickup for so long and just being oblivious to people's needs or thoughts, and then, or wants or desires, and then just being out there for so long that I started to tune into people, and I was like, oh, I could totally read that person. I totally know what that person's about, like even just from across the room. I can guarantee this person's like this, and this, you know, without even having a conversation with them, right? Because you put yourself in, you know, like in so many social situations, at a certain point, it becomes easy to read people, right? So I have a heightened sense of just social awareness when it comes to other people and what they're thinking and feeling. And this is why, I have empathy for other people, even haters of mine, right? I mean, I know where they're coming from, instead of just being like, where they kind of have this surface level thinking like, oh, this 33 Secrets guy doing these videos about 30-year-old women, being DG and comparing them to 92 Toyota Corollas, and screw him, and that stupid ass, and, and label, like throwing all these labels at me, and, message me on Christmas about how much they hate me and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I don't throw it back. I could see beyond that. And I have empathy for that, because I'm like, okay, I see where this person's coming from. I see that, like, the childhood trauma they're still suffering from that they never overcame. I could see, I could just see and feel it all, where I actually do feel empathy for them, right? Even though I probably wish the worst things on me. And also, even when I'm in like situations that could potentially be dangerous, even if I'm like, like gaming a girl and her boyfriend happens to be right there, I could feel where his temperament level is, right? And I know how to diffuse it rather than escalate it, right? And make it worse. And the thing with like a lot of people who are not empaths, I believe this is a skill that you can learn, right? I don't think, that this is something that you are necessarily born with, although some people can be. But I think that where a lot of people go wrong is they let, like, people who are non-empaths, thing with those people is they have what gets in their way is their own ego, right? This is what causes them to not feel or not have the ability to feel what other people are feeling, right? It's because their ego is just clouding everything. It gets in the way of everything. Their own ego, their own arrogance. You'll notice this about people that you might even know that, right? That are just have big egos or are just arrogant, right? They're just egotistical and arrogant. They can't feel what other people are feeling because they're just too busy to push their own ideas on everybody else, and they just can't take a step back and listen, right? And when they're in social situations, they can't just like sit there and observe people, right? They always have to put their 2 cents in. Like, oh, somebody said something over here. Oh, microaggression, man. I'm that nationality. Why would you say something like that? They're just so busy like in this ego protection mode that they can't just like sit back and observe and allow themselves to be perceptive. Because that's all, being empathetic is just, just sitting back and allowing yourself and your natural born instincts to come out, where you just have this heightened level of intuition, right? You can see things and sense things kind of before they happen. It's like just quieting your mind, really, at the end of the day, right? Is what it comes down to when it comes down to brass tacks. But when with people who are empathetic, it's sometimes difficult to form friendships with people, because you can see the fact, like, say you're like constantly giving to that relationship, and they're just selfishly taking without ever giving anything back, right? And you feel like, hey, my needs are being neglected here. And I feel like I'm always paying attention to their needs, because you're empathetic, right? Because you're always constantly trying to pay attention to their needs and trying to fulfill their needs. And you feel like you're constantly, it's not being reciprocated, and you're being neglected, right? Your needs are being neglected. And that's the problem with being, an empath, is when you're in relationships with people, whether friendship or dating, you will often feel that, like you go the extra mile for them, but they can barely go a quarter mile for you. Right, whatever it is, and you're in these lopsided relationships. So if you are an empath, by the way, share your story below, why you think you're an empath, or why you think you're not an empath. Let me know below if you've known any, if you've dated any, or if you are one. Again, share your story below. I would love to see it. I would love to read it. And for you guys who want to support my work and everything I'm doing here, and all this education and red pill enlightenment I'm teaching you, hardcore truths about life without filtering myself at the risk of being canceled, right? Because a lot of what I talk about is not politically correct, but it's true. It's based on reality. It's based on observational reality. Best way to support my work is by becoming a premium subscriber of my premium Alpha Male Secrets channel, which I'm hosting on a private platform away from YouTube, and I'm doing that to protect my content from YouTube in the event they try to shut us down one day. They won't be able to because we'll be on this private platform that I'm paying for, right? And right now it's only $1 for the entire first month of premium Alpha Male Secrets content from me. So take advantage of it. Right now it's only $1 for the entire first 30 days. So take advantage of it, guys. It's the best way to support my work, and I would greatly appreciate it. So click the link below. It will take you over to my website where you can get signed up right now. It just takes 2 seconds. So do that now, and I'll see you in my next coaching video. I'm out.